The Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra was one of the best smartphones that came out last year, and now we have the brand new S23 Ultra. But should you upgrade? Let's find out. Starting with the design, let's take a look at the back of the devices. They look very similar. This one here is the S22 Ultra, and the green one, is the S23 Ultra. The camera array layout looks very similar. In fact, the only difference is a subtle protrusion on the camera, so it's hard to notice, and that's something you probably won't notice at all, so I won't worry too much about that. Where there's a subtle difference again is the fact that the S22 Ultra is a lot more curved on the edges, so you can see there, versus the flat design on the S23 Ultra. That just makes it a lot more comfortable to hold in hand on the S23 Ultra, which I quite like. We look at the bottom of the devices. Again, things look exactly the same, more or less, apart from the microphone that you probably won't notice again on the S22 Ultra. So what they've done here is the USB-C ports are still the same, the SIM card tray still there, and the S Pen location is still there as well. So it's pretty much the same thing when you look at that from the design perspective. Moving over to the front of the display, things are the same here as well. We still have the same 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display. We still have the same camera placement on the front. We'll talk more about the camera specs in a bit. You still get the same 500 ppi in terms of sharpness, and you still get the same 120 Hz refresh and 1750 peak brightness. So if you were to use them both in direct sunlight situations, you'd be fine. There's no worries there at all. So if you were to upgrade, you'll be getting the same. The only thing that's different here though is the S23 Ultra offers better drop protection for that display because it's rocking the latest Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. So that's the only difference, main difference between the both in terms of display. Next, let's look at what's different when it comes to the camera. The S23 Ultra has a new 200 megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization, whereas the S22 Ultra only gives you 108 megapixel pixel bin on both maximum. But they both still have laser autofocus, but Samsung did say the S23 Ultra has a better and faster autofocus system, which should mean a lot to photographers out there. Another difference is when it comes to expert RAW mode, the S22 Ultra just stays the same, whereas on the S23 Ultra, you can now shoot 50 megapixel when it comes to RAW mode, which is really good. It just means it packs more information into your RAW pictures, which means you can then edit them afterwards, which I think is a big bonus. On the S23 Ultra as well, you also have multiple exposure mode in Expert RAW, and you also have astrophoto mode. This is something that's missing in Expert RAW on the S22 Ultra. If that will come on later on as a software update, that I don't know. Otherwise, the telephoto lenses are still the same, but the 30 megapixel mode when it comes to optical zoom looks much better on the S23 Ultra. When it comes to shooting videos, the S23 Ultra will also offer you something just a tad bit better. So in camera settings, we can see now we have 8K 30 frames per second on the S23 Ultra, whereas the S22 Ultra will only offer you 8K 24 frames per second. This only really matters if you're shooting 8K videos. If you're not shooting 8K ultra high definition videos, then it doesn't really matter. Elsewhere, we have the same battery, the same 5000 mAh battery, the same 45 watt wired super fast charge. We'll still get the same wireless charging speed on there as well. But what really matters to me though, which is probably one of the reasons that I would upgrade, is when it comes to the processor and the storage options. The S23 Ultra now starts at 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which is great because if you're going to be shooting RAW photos and 8K videos, that would help. Elsewhere though, where I say it really matters to me is the processor speed. The S22 Ultra came with Exynos in its parts of the world. So in the US, they had a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, but this year, everywhere we're getting the brand new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And it's super fast, it's super efficient when it comes to battery consumption, and it's specially made for the S23 Ultra, which means with this, it's slightly clocked to be faster than the standard Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. So the one for Galaxy devices or for the Galaxy S23 Ultra offers you better speed, offers you better efficiency, and it's just all around better when it comes to upgrading your device. So if you're thinking of upgrading from the S22 Ultra to the S23 Ultra, that alone is a great reason to consider upgrading your smartphone. So if you're still asking, should you upgrade to the S23 Ultra? I think so. I think it's worth the upgrade based on the processor upgrade alone. Everything else looks very familiar, very the same, so in that way, you're used to it. Battery life is much better as well on the S23 Ultra, thanks to that processor in there. But over to you though, let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, smash the bell notification as well, so you get notified every time we upload a new video like this up on the channel. And if you've made up your mind about upgrading, well, check out the link in the description for some amazing deals.